Hi everybody, welcome back to another Miller Motor Cars McLaren Greenwich YouTube video. My name is Nick Langen, the sales specialist here at McLaren Greenwich, and today we have a very fun video. We will be taking out this 750S Spider for a drive through the back roads of Greenwich. So one of my favorite things about the McLaren 750S, and there are a lot of them, is how easy it is to drive in comfort mode, but then how aggressive you can get in track mode. So it really has that kind of split personality between the two, so it gives you kind of the best of both worlds, where you do have that comfort of comfort mode when you're around town like we are now, or when you get on the highway or you get on a track, you do have the stiffness of the carbon chassis, as well as the different shifting patterns of track mode. I'm of course in paddle mode and manual mode. I just find it to be a bit more fun, a bit more engaging, but you do of course have the option of the dual clutch transmission to be in automatic, if you don't really want to shift. And as I mentioned about that split personality, I think it's a really key point to point out about the vehicle, that around town under, call it 4,000 RPMs, you do have that very docile feel of the vehicle, whereas above, 4,500, maybe 5,000 RPMs, that's where that max torque is, and you really do have, quite a different vehicle. And as I mentioned, this does have a dual clutch paired with a 7-speed transmission. So you have a lot of that seamless shifting if you're in automatic mode. If you get into that comfort mode, it will shift very quickly. And then as you work up into sport mode and then into track mode, of course, it'll hold those shifts quite a bit higher to maximize the torque output of the vehicle. Having the McLaren 720S as a predecessor is quite the task, and the 750S really lives up to the heritage of the brand. 30% of this vehicle is going to be different than the 720S, and a lot of that is going to be very specific components. It does share a gearbox with the 765, so it does a really nice job of balance of the 720S and including some of the components of the 765. Of course, the 765 LT is going to be a track-focused vehicle, so it's a little stiffer, a little more unforgiving, I guess you could say. And this is a really fine balance of that 720S and 765. People have really come to love the kind of nuances of the 750S, especially with the V8 twin-turbo engine, which we're going to experience here on the highway. It's quite a blast when you get 0 to 60 times, in the mid to high 2 seconds. So going back into sport mode, you'll really notice the difference of the exhaust note. Especially on the downshifts, you get some pops and bangs. Now, McLaren's heritage is steeped in racing, and a lot of the aerodynamics that you'll see in an F1 car, in a race car that we do build, you will have in this 750S, including one of my favorite parts of the car, the rear air brake. Same size as the 765 LT wing, and it's fully carbon fiber, whether you have it painted or if you have it visual carbon fiber. When you hit the brake really hard at high speeds, it will flip up, act as an air brake. And it's a very cool sight to see, both inside the cars, you can see it in the rearview mirror, and outside the car as it comes pretty close to vertical. McLaren being a driver-focused brand, they do a really nice job of making sure that you don't have to take your eyes off the road or your hands off the steering wheel if you want to change different modes at the drop of a hat. So you have on the left side of your steering wheel your handling section, and then you have on the right your powertrain. And you can flip through either comfort mode, sport mode, track mode at your will. So it's really nice that you don't have to look and search for a button. You have it all at the fingertips while you're driving. And a new addition to the interface on the 750S is your Speedy Kiwi button here, which acts as an individual mode. So you find whatever you want works best for you in terms of your suspension, your handling, your aerodynamics. All you do to activate your favorite settings is click the Speedy Kiwi button to the left side of your infotainment screen, and your car is set up just like that. With the all-new suspension setup, which is a linked hydraulic suspension, we call it the Proactive Chassis Control 3, which is obviously the third iteration. It really gives you such an amazing feel of the road, but you also have that comfort, so you're not in a teeth-chattering supercar, whereas some other vehicles, as mentioned, the 765 LT, is a little more unforgiving on the road, where this, you could daily drive it, and we have several clients who enjoy their cars, for thousands of miles a year, which in my opinion is how a supercar should be driven. They're meant to be driven, they should be driven, they perform better when they're driven, versus when they're sitting, in a garage. And I will say they look great in the garage, but they look just as good on the road. One of the best parts of the entire McLaren lineup, including the 750S, is that carbon fiber tub. What's really nice is the fact that this comes in a coupe and a Spider variant. You lose zero rigidity in the Spider. Because of that carbon fiber construction, you could actually chop the roof off of a coupe and it would perform the exact same on a track and on the road. So obviously this car is exceptional, but the entire product lineup that McLaren has come out with throughout the years really is all steeped in tradition, steeped in drivability. And what I really love about McLaren is that they don't try to be something they're not. They know what they are. They know that they're a driver-focused brand. You'll notice that on no steering wheel are there ever buttons, and that's exclusively to McLaren because all they want to do is have you get in your vehicle, turn it on, put it in whatever mode you want, and drive. And I think that's what people really like about the brand is they're looking for something fun to drive, and they want to make sure that that's the car that you get excited to drive, and that's what they've done.